More than 4 billion people fly on a plane each year, but how many of those know the plane's biggest secrets? Stay tuned to hear all about the airplane's secret cabins and how you can easily get a first-class upgrade. Don't forget to subscribe to The Things and give this video a big thumbs up. Now let's check out 10 airplane secrets flight attendants don't tell passengers. Don't drink the water. You'd think this was something they'd tell you, right? But there's one thing you should know. Never ever order just water when you're up in the air. Purchase soda or anything else that comes bottled instead. Former flight attendants warned that people should never drink airplane water. And after hearing about this, you'll never order water again. Flight attendants will never drink coffee, tea, or water on the plane unless it's bottled or their own. And there's a good reason behind it. The thing is, the water tank inside the plane that actually stores the water is hardly ever cleaned. And if it is, the flight attendants have no idea when or how often. So you could potentially end up with water from a tank that hasn't been cleaned for months. The Association of Flight Attendants issued a regulation around airplane water cleanliness, but they only give broad discretion on how often the tanks need to be cleaned. The AFA themselves don't believe that the regulation is sufficiently enforced. It's also been reported that 1 out of every 10 commercial planes had at least one positive test for bacteria found as a result of drinking water. No H2O for us, thank you. Open the blinds. It's not a secret that you have to open the blinds during takeoff and landing. But do you know why? Many people seem to think this is just for preparation to settle in or get ready as you land. You don't really want to sleep all the way to your landing and miss leaving. There's actually another reason why that must be done at all times. One of them is the fact that the takeoff and the landing poses the biggest challenge for the pilots. It's the time when the pilots have to do the most maneuvering themselves. But it's also the time where a lot of accidents normally happen. So opening up the blinds allows not only for the flight attendants to be alert, but also the passengers. Flight attendants reported that the passengers will most likely be the first ones to notice if something's happening to the plane's wings and alert the crew. Allowing open blinds means that the assessment will happen faster and the situation can be quickly controlled. Boeing's statistical studies report that 16% of incidents occur during takeoff and 29% during landing. But as long as you keep the blinds open and pay attention to what's happening outside, there's a greater chance everything will be just fine. Don't use the bathroom. At least, don't use it before takeoff. And no, it's not because snakes might come and give you nightmares for years after. The reason is similar to the reason why you need to open your blinds during takeoff and landing. If you desperately need to go to the toilet before the plane takes off, there's a good chance the flight attendants won't let you until you're up in the air. The reason behind it is that your number 1 or even your number 2 could actually delay the entire flight. When you decide to use the bathroom before takeoff, the flight attendants have to actually alert the pilots and wait until you're out. And if you take extra long, everyone's gonna know what you're doing. Legally, pilots aren't allowed to take off if the passengers are in the bathroom. Of course, this is because of the fact that the passenger could easily get injured while they're doing their business. But we also can't imagine it's comfortable for anyone to be doing that during takeoff or landing. So if you ever have to do a number 1 or 2, make sure you do it before you board the plane, or hold it until the seatbelt signs switch off. They have secret apps. Yep, you heard that right. There are apps out there that aren't accessible to anyone else but the flight crew, and some of them even depend on the airline the flight attendants work for. Flight attendants can use apps like Flight Life Organizer to organize their trips and have a perfect overview of their days off and locations they're flying to. When you're constantly on the move, you just need something to keep you sane. In 2015, United also came on the news because of its weird app for flight attendants. According to the reports, the flight attendants were issued United phones which replaced safety manuals and have all information about onboard food and other sales. But for some strange reason, people discovered that the phones also hold all personal information about the passengers. With this phone, the United flight attendants could allegedly access all information the passenger provided when they reserved the flight, including the rest of the itinerary. The incident was discovered when a flight attendant wished a passenger a happy birthday without the passenger revealing that information to them. No one actually knows what kind of information these phones hold, but according to United, it's there to help rebook flights faster. There are secret codes. Did you know flight attendants sometimes use secret codes? Saying things like last-minute paperwork means that there's a delay. Code ATOM stands for a missing child. And if you ever hear the word deadhead, don't be alarmed. It's just airplane speak for a crew member repositioning as part of an on-duty assignment. Did you know that the flight attendants love to gossip just as much as normal people gossip at work? And that gossip comes with plenty of secret codes. This completely depends on the airline and the actual crew you fly with, as it's more of a work thing than it is a legal training anything. A former flight attendant revealed the secret codes their crew used for attractive customers. Because of course, you can't just tell your crew member to check out the attractive person. You need to be subtle about it. So, if that attractive person sits in 7A, the flight attendant will say something about spending 7 days in America. If they sit in 10G, it'll be 10 days in Greece. And apparently, if a flight attendant says they'll be right back, it means they don't like you. We'll definitely be keeping an eye on any strange conversations in the crew area. Don't touch the headphones or blankets or any other airplane item you might be tempted to use because of the convenience. This is a well-known fact. We talked about it before, but just in case you're thinking of covering your body with the airplane blanket, think again. Or putting in the airplane headphones? The reason behind it is that these items don't get cleaned. Yep, even headphones end up repackaged and resealed, at least according to flight attendants. Airplanes have a busy route that often consists of no breaks for the actual plane. So while you might think that someone out there is taking the time to take out old blankets and headphones and replacing them with new ones, it's probably never going to happen. It just takes too much time and it would cause major delays. So keep that in mind next time you're tempted to use airplane headphones, and always remember to bring your own instead. Chances are they'll be much better at noise canceling and they won't come from someone else's ear. A former flight attendant also said they never saw the trays being cleaned ever, but they did see plenty of babies being changed on those trays. So take this information however you want to. Airplane food. So we talked about water, tea, and coffee, and why you should never ever order them on a plane. But how much do you know about airplane food in general? Do you know why airplane food usually tastes pretty average even though it looks delicious? There's a scientific reason behind it. When you're traveling in the sky, the cabin drops humidity, and with less humidity in your throat, your sense of smell and taste decreases to up to 50%. But what also decreases is the perception of saltiness or sweetness, which is why airplane food might seem like it tastes so meh. So ordinary food might taste completely different once it's up in the air, and it might require much more seasoning to become just as delicious as the food on the ground. North America, Australia, and Europe also have strict rules on plane leftovers. Because of the strict agricultural laws, the leftover food is never allowed to leave the airport unless it's donated to local communities. India actually has a high demand for smuggled airplane food, and you can sell a plain food item for only a fraction of the market value. And yes, crew members can get fired for trying to take the plane's food. Intense jobs. Flight attendants actually have a really important job. In fact, their training is probably some of the most intense trainings you have ever seen. For example, the airline company Delta has an intense 2-month training. People have said it's actually easier to get into Harvard than it is to get invited to the Delta training. Flight attendants have ranked Delta as the best plane to work, but it also comes with plenty of preparations. 150,000 people apply to become Delta flight attendants, but only 1% make it to the train stage. The training is 8 weeks long, and it includes things like vaccinations, CPR, learning how to evacuate the plane within 90 seconds, and more. The flight attendants are also trained into pulling people from the water into a raft. In order to be best prepared for the worst, they also partake in actual flight simulator and experience what it's like to really lose control over the plane. They must act quickly and make sure everyone gets out as fast as possible. So next time you see a flight attendant, remember everything they had to get through to even get to their job, because it definitely wasn't as easy as it sounds. Secret cabins. While the airplane might look small to you, it actually holds more secrets than you've ever known. For example, did you know that there are secret cabins out there only flight attendants have access to? Of course, this only applies to long-haul flights where sleep is pretty much needed. Naturally, flight attendants have to catch some Z's just as much as you do. Most Boeing 777 and 787 actually have a secret deck designed for flight attendants to catch up on sleep. It's usually accessible by stairs. The small deck has no windows and bunk bed-style beds with curtains to give them some privacy. Usually these are located right behind the cockpit in first class to make sure they're undisturbed by passengers. The staircase is located behind a door that usually needs a code to be opened. Other cabins are camouflaged with just a regular hatch that looks like an overhead bin, except instead of the usual compartment, you can find 7 or 8 beds in there. How cool is that? Compared to regular airplane seats, those beds look really comfortable. It's something you'll never get to experience, unless, of course, you pass that intense flight attendant training. First class upgrade. And here it is, the moment you've been waiting for. The secret that will get you that first class upgrade, at least according to frequent flyers and flight attendants. Many frequent flyers say that dressing the part and simply asking for an upgrade often does the trick. And if it doesn't, make sure you fly solo, as there are way more solo tickets available than there are group tickets. You should also travel during peak times, as airlines sometimes upgrade passengers on flights they oversell. It also doesn't hurt to join the Frequent Flyers Club, as those customers are always prioritized when it comes to first-class upgrades. One frequent flyer even claims she uses the secret code called revenue management when calling the airline to ask about an upgrade. She asks them if the revenue management released any first-class seats yet. You should also show up early and ask the agent before things are busy. Chances are they'll be able to accommodate you more when they're not under stress and get you that first-class upgrade. But most importantly, always remember to be nice and kind to the people that serve you. You never know, it might just be your lucky day. And that's all for our video. If you could travel anywhere in the world right now, where would it be? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching. See you next time.